Breaking Records Radio and the place to be. You know what it is. It's your host, Maloney. And I have to call this guy a legend doesn't even do justice in the field of what we do in hip hop media. This guy's not only a pioneer, but his legacy, it's unparalleled to very many. A lot of people that we respect in this hip hop media field do not have the legacy and the accolades of which this man have. And I'm very honored to have him here with me today. We have Soren Baker. How is it going, my friend?
Maloney, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. And like I said before we started recording, I was a little naive to how deep your legacy actually really went. I'm a huge fan of Unique Access. I love the content you do. I think it's very, it's reminiscent of, kind of what I got into this doing, why I love it. I love interviewing the legends, some of the people that maybe, over time may not get their just due, their flowers, but have contributed largely to the legacy of hip hop culture. And when I discovered your channel, Unique Access, it was very, very much what I got into this for, why I loved it. So, to be able to have you here and talk to you today is an honor. But, upon researching and really understanding how deep your legacy goes, it's even more of an honor, man. So thank you for your legacy, your contributions to the culture. And I look forward to the conversation, my friend.
Yes, sir. Let's make it happen. Thanks for the kind words.
Hey, no doubt, man. And with that being said, so being that I am maybe naive to some of your history, I would like to kind of set it back, kind of go over a little bit of everything, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. I grew up born and raised in Maryland. And when I was 10 years old, one of my friends I'd asked one of my friends if he knew anything about rap. And he was like, yeah, I could make you a tape. This is back in the day when there were cassettes. So he made me a tape. His name's Tom Erdely. And on this tape changed my life, man. It had Day and Nightmares. It had LL Cool J, I Need a Beat. It had the show by Dougie Fresh, The Get Fresh Crew featuring MC Ricky D. It had Roxanne by UTFO. It had Big Mouth by Houdini. It had Freaks Come Out at Night by Houdini. Just on and on and on and on. You Talk Too Much, Run the MC. And I was blown away by these songs because of the storytelling, like with Dana Dane, the force of the LL Cool J, the visual stuff that Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick had going on with the show, and the humor of Roxanne by UTFO, and Curtis Blow's Basketball was on there too. And I love playing basketball, love watching basketball. So all these things really made me gravitate toward it. I love the scratching and I love the percussion. So there was like everything about it I was just totally enthralled with. And from there, man, when I was 10, I was like, I got to learn everything I can about this because I love it. And then by the time I was 12, I decided, man, I got to figure out how I can, do this for a living or really get involved with it, because of 10, 11, 12, my love, appreciation, and desire for rap just kept growing and growing and growing. And so, by the time I ended up going to college, I grew up in Baltimore, I grew up right in between Baltimore and Washington in a little city called Gambrills. And we had the national media because of Washington, D.C., and then Baltimore being a major city. So I was able to get the radio stations of both Baltimore and Washington. And then I was also around a lot of news because Washington, D.C. is the capital of the country. So I was intrigued by journalism. I thought they were always doing cool stuff and talking to cool people. So when I went to college, I was like, oh, let me try to write about rap for my school newspaper. I went to Xavier University in Cincinnati, and they weren't writing about rap. So I just asked them if I could, and they said, sure, but go review some plays first. So when I reviewed one play, and then I said, can I write about rap now? And they said, yes. So then I started writing about rap, man. It's been a blessing ever since,
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. And would it be safe to say that, like, when you were 10 and you first got that tape, and those 2 years that you said were really kind of the pinnacle of you really diving into hip hop culture and falling in love, would it be safe to say, like, where you grew up, you were almost a bit of an outcast for being so engulfed in hip hop? Like, were you one of the only people you knew who really loved this thing?
I was definitely someone that took it more to an extreme level, but some of my friends definitely liked it a lot and listened to it a lot. And my friend Tom Early had this tape; he listened to it on a regular basis. And then some of my other friends had some rap or liked it a lot, but being 10, 11, it's not like you got a gang of money. So you can't just be buying stuff. And where we lived, there weren't really record stores around. So it was a bit of a chore. But most people had, a lot of my friends had older cousins or uncles or brothers that had a lot of rap. So I was able to, through them, and then talking to my parents and having, cutting grass around the neighborhood or raking leaves or shoveling snow, making some money. I used that to buy rap. So, but yeah, I was definitely, even early on, I was an anomaly in the sense of how much I knew, how much I loved it, how much I cared about it. But it was just, that's my favorite thing in the world.
And see, I can relate to that in a heavy degree, because where I grew up, I'm located in Toronto now, but where I grew up, smaller town, and I'm talking like late 90s, hip hop hadn't really penetrated where I grew up. So when I fell in love with it, I was one of very few kids that I knew who fell in love with it. And that almost made me fall in love with it even more. You know what I mean? And like, I just became this nerd for it and stuff. And it's like nobody else understood it. And it wasn't until I got into high school and you start meeting people from around the city, stuff that you could connect with, and they had the same love for you, right? And then within a couple of years, it just exploded, like once Eminem came out and stuff like that, then obviously it became a whole monster of its own, and everybody within years liked rap. But that's why I asked kind of the I didn't mean to word it as outcast, but that's why I worded it like that, because kind of the way you explained it is kind of I see a little bit of myself in that, you know what I mean?
Breaking records here. Hey yo, check it out. Breaking records. The master craftsman. Hey yo, check it out. Breaking records. Sitting here, breaking records here. Hey yo, check it out. Breaking records. The master craftsman. Hey yo, check it out. Sitting here, breaking records.
They break records, you heard me?